Mate, let's see how pretty we look or don't.
Absolutely.
Boom! Squeeze the neck, we're back. Today we just discussed this. We was even going to say we're in Brentford or Kew, depending how bougie we feel. But I am with my new mate, Paddy Daly. Thanks for doing this, mate. Is it Daly or Daly?
Daly,
Daly,
yeah, Daly. You got it.
Mate,
my Irish ancestors will be saying, make sure it's
straight away.
Don't say Daly, it's Daly.
No, whichever you like. If you want to upset some Paddies, Daly it is. All right, mate. But as I say, thanks for doing this, mate.
My pleasure.
I asked you just before we started, how do I describe you? You're a former boxer, grappler, darling actor.
Yep.
What else was on there? Strength conditioning coach, the whole deal. So
online a lot.
There you go.
Yeah,
before
absolutely.
I butcher your name and destroy what you do for a living, tell us who you are and what you do, mate.
Away. Absolutely, yes. So my name's Paddy, as Ollie's mentioned, and originally an actor. So I trained as a professional actor, graduated from drama school about 10 years ago, and then always had a passion for combat. Granddad was a professional boxer. Dad was a high-level amateur. I had about 70 amateur boxing matches. I just went schoolboy boxing and was the bollocks.
Where's this? This over here in Ireland?
This was in London. So
right.
he was in London, so East London Plaistow over that way. So he was a high-level boxer, so was my uncle. So always fascinated with boxing growing up. Graduated drama school. Going straight into the whole life story now. Graduated drama school and was just kicking around waiting for auditions to happen. And it was 1 week into the next, working in a bar in the West End, out late drinking, making no money. And I was like, there's more to life than this. I can't wait for the phone to ring forever. So there you started doing Muay Thai, going over the boxing that I'd done with my dad growing up. Got mad obsessed with Muay Thai, and as you know yourself, fully addicted to it. And then thought, right, let's become a coach as well and start learning a bit more. So then qualified as a coach, went and did some boxing matches, some Muay Thai fights. And then dipped in and out of acting across the last 10 years, actually waiting on the call. I've got to tell you, I'm waiting on I can't say what it is, but I'm waiting on a call at the moment for something massive, and I'm like this Batman. With my phone all the time. So if you see me jump up, you'll know that hopefully it's good news coming.
That'd be good for views. We'll get it on the thing.
Exactly, go viral.
Yeah. But so originally, where are you from, mate? You said you was born East London, and you went to Reading.
Exactly. So my parents were born in Barking. I was Barking side.
Wrong side of the river.
Yeah, exactly. Lived there till I think a very young age, about 5 or 6, and then my parents moved to Reading, and then I grew up mostly in Reading. Lived there till I was about 19, and then moved to South East London, down by Sidcup. Used to train at Kieran Keddle's place, Double K. That was the Muay Thai place.
Keddle's gym, yeah. What's it? It's renamed something else now.
So it was Double K, and then it went to something, and that's Roaches, I think. Lee Roaches taken over. That's it. But yeah, shout out Luke Whelan if he's watching, Kieran and everyone else as well. So taught me a lot about Muay Thai, and Jamie and the rest of the boys up at Double K. So
that's cool.
Good memories up
there.
there.
Have you been to Thailand and all that? You done that?
Do you know what? I haven't, Ollie. And it's funny you say this. I'm into a lot at the moment about synchronicities and trust in the process, manifestations, affirmations. And Thailand, we've not pre-planned this chat, by the way, but Thailand has popped up several times in conversation.
Ooh,
and I feel there's a pull there, maybe towards the end of the year for me to go out there for a couple of weeks. And
very good.
Just immerse in a camp and just, you just smash those pads, wake up there, and...
Mate, I've been out there, I can tell you, it's worth
experience.
doing. Yeah, I've had one experience where I've told this on here, so I won't bore people, but I ended up in hospital with like the lurgies. But other than that, it was, every other time's been a great experience.
Brilliant.
I got a lot of fond memories in
Anywhere
Thailand.
specifically.
And I'd always recommend anyone do it. Like I've been out there, like what it's like. People go out there, right? I was out there just for like a training holiday type thing.
Wicked.
Where, like you speak to people, you meet someone, they'll be chatting like blah blah. How long you been here? Expect him to say 4 days. He goes, about 8 months, I think.
No.
Just went out there like one of the guys, I don't remember his name, but he like split up with his missus and was just basically training till the money ran out.
Yeah, no way.
Sounds like a great plan.
You can't blame me, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
When you're in paradise like that and you feel free, and I think the places like that in the world, it's freedom. You go there and you don't feel restricted. Like I love London, and London is home to me, and but you can feel restrictive, especially if you live a lifestyle that a lot of people rush the 9 to 5 and they're on the commute and they're on the hustle and bustle. It's constant restriction, and I think then to break out of that restriction is really difficult. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've got, I wake up crack of dawn at like 4:30, 5 a.m. I go and coach, I come home, I eat, I do Jiu Jitsu, I have a nap in the afternoon, I coach again in the evening. So I've got a little bit of a freer lifestyle than the race, it's for the hustle and bustle. You know what it's like.
Time to sit on the Squeeze the Neck podcast in the middle of the fucking day.
Stuff.
I mean, you've made it, son. You've made it. Tell us before we get, because on this I always jump about. I don't know if you've seen any. I ask all kinds of things.
For sure.
You've actually competed against one of my teammates. Shout out Paddy Daly. We'll get into that later.
Absolutely.
Who's coming on Friday? So we should have got you together and had like a tear up on the episode.
Little face.
Do you know what I mean? But before we do that, tell us what you do, because that's like we got hooked up on Instagram, right?
Absolutely.
With your like, I'm using the term strength and conditioning. Is that the right term for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so. I mean, like I said, I've been coaching. This is my 10th year coaching now, and I've worked with teenagers with autism. I've worked with older people, 60s and above. You know, all different ranges of people. But for me, I'm just doing my level 4 in strength and conditioning at the moment. So I've been level 3 for, like I said, 10 years. And I thought last year, right, I want to level up a bit more, learn my level 4, specialise in S&C for athletes, for again, applicable for myself, for competitions. And strength is the foundation of everything. And the more that I've learned about it, you know, Olympic lifting, I brought in a lot more to my own training programs recently, stuff like that. And strength is really important for everybody of any age, you know. And so yeah, S&C is really where I specialise. But now also I'm going a little bit more into mindset side of things. I've been obsessed with breath work for like the last 5 years. If you ever see me at competition, I'm the guy in the corner going,
you're that guy.
I'm that guy. Headphones on, breath retentions, you know, but I love it.
Wim Hof style, we talking.
The man that got me into it.
Good.
Shout out. Wim, no offence, Solly, I'm sure Wim won't be watching this, but if he is, shout out Wim.
Why not? What do you mean? What's that? That's like a dig at the podcast?
No. cut that bit out.
Have you met him in person, have you?
What, Wim?
Yeah.
I would love to meet him.
I haven't, but I've actually done like his first online course bit.
I was going to do that.
Whatever the fuck.
The fundamentals or whatever.
We're Hoffers. We're in
Brilliant.
this together.
Come on,
we're
love that.
We're on the Hoff journey.
Oh, mate, I think it's amazing. There's a guy actually called Breathe with Sandy that has got massive archive of stuff on YouTube, and he releases content.
Is this the long-haired geezer that's floating about? I know you're talking. I don't know him personally either, but I know him.
He's brilliant, and just different styles like Kundalini style breathing, breath of fire, inhale retentions. But you know, if you're a breathwork guy and you're a Jiu Jitsu guy, or backpedal that. If you're a Jiu-Jitsu guy and you're not a breathwork guy, I strongly believe that you're missing out on a vital component.
I don't know if you ever rolled with anyone that's really heavily, I know you are yourself, but there's a fella, Hadrian Howard, I don't know if you've come across him by any chance. He does, I can't remember what it's called, so I won't butcher it, but shout out Hadrian if you find this, mate. God bless. He was black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, you know, and you'd be rolling with him sometimes, and you'd be in a position, and all of a sudden you go,
no way.
You look at him, get the fuck you doing,
What's
you
he
dickhead.
doing?
He'd
Like,
just like ignore you, carry on rolling.
Really?
And then after he'd tell you, and he was like, you know, he's into his breath work. Oxygen Advantage, I think it might be.
Right.
There's a book, I've read the book.
Patrick McEwen or something.
That's the guy. I think he's under that. I don't want to say he's qualified because he might not be, but I think he is. Type thing. But anyway, black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, and he always used to do these mad breathing exercises.
Right, there you go. It's powerful, you know, and I think like anyone that's been smothered in mountain, we were talking about Patrick later, we'll come back onto his mount, is unbelievable.
Because you slapped Patrick around, then you bent him over your knee and like give him one of them.
I wish. He's a strong guy. Yeah. But anyone that's been in someone's mount that's like overwhelmingly powerful, like Alex Smith, one of my coaches at RGA, is known for his mount. Obviously, Roger Gracie, or someone's been on your back constantly attacking you and you're under pressure. The first thing you feel is your breath go, especially if you're not practiced in that area.
That panic,
and it's that fight or flight in the chest, you know. And if you can practice breath retention and you know how to hold your breath for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. The most I've got is nearly 3 minutes, and it's like you're instilled the confidence in your subconscious that you're all right, you're okay, you're in a safe place, you know. Whereas if you haven't practiced that, that's when your panic starts to overwhelm a thing a bit more. So yeah, breathwork, jiu-jitsu are really big. So yeah, backpedaling, the strength conditioning is the foundation, but it's a lot now. The guys that I coach online as well. So I went to online coaching last year, invested in a business coach because I wanted to expand my stuff, take it with me if I travel. So I've got a small pool, about 15 guys that I coach online at the moment. I design their training programs, do check-in forms with them, their nutrition, design their S&C plans, keep them accountable. We track with pictures, we track their weight with all through apps, and it's a really good accountability system. But even those now, I program them hot. I don't just want to be the normal coach, build muscle, lose weight. Like there's more to training than that, as we know, right? So it's like I program them breathwork sessions. It takes them straight to a link with Breathe with Sandy. I program them hot and cold treatments, saunas, cold plunges, cold showers.
Okay.
So on their training schedule, it's not just lift weights, do your form. It's other stuff as well, because you know I really believe that it's important to do those things, you know.
Of the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
because the biggest thing, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, especially with people that are grapplers, most people ain't lazy, so they do too much rather than not enough, right? So they need the other stuff around it. Like, I've definitely been guilty of that sometimes, training 3-4 times in a day sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the same gains as someone who's training twice a week and who's a lazy fuck.
It's true, it's true, 100%, you know. So your volume of what you do is really important, I think, and you have to balance that with a routine that allows you to recover properly, not just your body but your mind as well, you know. So I think that all these other elements help with your sleep, with your recovery, which is really important, because if you're not recovering properly and treating your body properly, then that's when you feel the fatigue, the injuries come, and then that's the major setbacks, you know.
Exactly. And I tell you what I find as well, and I use 30 as the age, because you're not old in terms of physically, but 30 seems to be, and 30 is sometimes 28, whatever, but people's lives change, right? People start getting married, don't do it, kids, you'll get people getting married and stuff like that, and like, life changes, do you know what I mean? Versus if you're 24 and you're doing Jiu Jitsu, you go home and have a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day, and then you go train. It's a different, do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Which is a big part of where I find people go, oh, I'm older now.
Because
we spoke before, you broke my heart, you're younger than me, never mind. But you get to that age and I don't feel old at all physically.
No, not at all, absolutely. Like we were just saying before, I'm 32 in next month, and you know, I feel in the best shape of my life right now. You know, I've made a lot of habit changes this year, adjusted lifestyle, and you know, now feeling the benefits of that massively. And you know, it's important to realise that yes, you get older with time and changes happen to your body, but you just then have to adapt rather than, oh, okay, I'm old now. Or I think people that accept that you've got to a point, and then, no, you saw it last year. I went out and competed in Vegas Masters Worlds, right? And you're only going to Masters Worlds if you're fucking confident that you've done the work and that you are an athlete, and you have to tell yourself that, because there's no point going to a comp like that with 60 other people. But you see the guys there that are, you know, I'm M1, so it's 30 to 34, which some people again get, oh, I'm in my 30s now, and then I'm in my 40s now, and then you talk to yourself negatively about your age and you fuel your body with the wrong energy. But these guys out there would smash about the majority of people in their early 20s, because they're treating their body properly, and they're not just using, oh, I'm a masters athlete now, and you know, sit on the back bench, and you know, it's how you treat yourself. So.
It is, and it goes the other way too, because I told this in class, so it's on my mind this morning when I was teaching. I was at a competition at Blue Belt, and it was adult division, but there was a geezer who was 40. You saw on his thing he was 40 years old. Yeah. Bless him. I don't know who he is anyway, but he looked like he's about 50, right? Yeah. And he was there, and he was nervous and whatever. He ended up getting suplexed and slammed. He nearly got knocked out before he got choked out by like an 18-year-old. And I just looked at him, I thought, what are you in this division? You're in the wrong fucking division. Go Masters 3 or whatever you could go in. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. But anyway, side note.
No, it happens, you know, and no, I have big respect for guys that are, you know, in the Masters, that are like one of the guys at my academy, RGA HQ, Dan. He's my age, but he always competes adults, and always. But he's grafts as a purple belt. He's in there every day. He's in great shape, you know. And he's the one that, you know, he's early 30s and he's an adult, so he can get away with it, you know. But it's but also for me personally, I like the fact with Jiu Jitsu that you do have the age brackets,
right?
Because I feel like if I'm going to the highest standard, like I'm going out doing Masters Europeans in Barcelona in May. And that's, again, second highest out of Masters Worlds, right? And I like the fact that I can step onto that mat knowing we're the same age, with the same belt, with the same weight, you know. It's not like I'm, you know, if I was going back competing in striking, you get matched with a fight, you get who you're given almost, you know, and it's like, whereas Jiu-Jitsu, it takes away that, and you can have that, you know, you're on paper, similar.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, and because it is relevant in terms of, I think 30 to 35 or 34 or whatever is a strange masters category. Because I go, you're too fucking young to have a masters category. But I guess it's more because, like, you know, you got people like us who train and like don't really worry about, don't worry about my jokes, but like we train and whatever, right? Whereas some people get to our age, and as I said, they're married, they've got 3 kids, they've got a bit of a belly on, they want to shift 5 kilos for a comp. They need a masters division. I still, you comment below, tell me what you think, because I feel like Masters 1 shouldn't be a Masters division.
No, it's a great point. It's a great topic of conversation. Like for me, when Masters, like, so I competed a lot. I had 6 comps at white belt, and I've done, I think, 23 at blue, and I'm at 4-stripe blue belt now. I've got my 4th stripe a couple of months ago. And
so by the time this comes out, you might be a dirty purple belt.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll see.
That, like, walks in waving, pointing at people.
I'm already getting there at the moment. I'm already fast tracking that bit. But yeah, when Masters came along, I felt, I was competing at 29 at that. My first, was good memory actually. My first blue belt comp, I got my blue belt at Christmas. I think it was, I don't know, Christmas 22 or something like that. And I was like, right, I want to compete at blue. Did 3 months, grafted and training hard, signed up for Grappling Industries. My first match, as you'll know, Grappling Industries round robin, and you just go against everyone that's signed up in the bracket. My first one was a guy called Sean Colasso, who is, I think he's 18 now. At the time he was 17, blue belt. Been doing Jiu Jitsu since he was like, really, do you know what I mean? I was 29, had done years of being an actor and going out partying and smoking and drinking and everything. And I was at a fresh blue belt, 29 at the end of that, and he was a experienced blue belt that was conditioned. And I thought, I looked at the smooth comp and I thought, I knew Sean already from comps, and I thought, that's my first match at blue belt, great. My second one was Christian Timmis. Shout out Christian, my guy who comes in now, drops in at RJ for comp class. Again, Christian's, I think he's like 21, flying arm bars, people goes viral on Instagram for, those were my 2 first matches at blue belt. So for me, once I got the opportunity and I turned Masters about 2 months after that, golds were coming in, because I warmed up with those guys, but 2, it was a much more level playing field for people like me that started jiu-jitsu later.
Right.
So because I started when I was 28, I think I was, it was like, okay, I was going against guys that started about the same age rather than blue belts in adults that started when they were in their teenagers.
Well, that's where blue belt specifically is a tricky one, because you'll get that. Whereas you won't at other belts necessarily.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
yes.
Because you're not going to be a 19-year-old white belt who started when they're young, because you're not.
Exactly.
And after that, you have to be a bit older to get the belt, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
so it's a bit more level. Whereas if you're, for example, if you're a blue purple belt on, you're genuine at that belt. Whereas a blue belt, you know yourself, is such a wide bracket.
Oh, it's
like
crazy.
When someone like you said, you turn up to your first competition, you've just got your blue belt, versus some young kid who's been training since he was 6. He's got 12 years experience and he's still a blue belt.
Exactly.
It's
so
shady. You know what I mean?
100%. It is that. It's a big range of a belt, and again, like yourself, it's the range of skill set. I think at blue is probably the widest range.
And you're there for the longest.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time. Like I've, not to make it about me, but I was a blue belt for 5.5 years.
Wow.
Like, so forget how good I was or weren't.
Yeah.
5 years of consistent training from the day I got my blue belt to the day before I got my purple is like
it's
much different, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Huge. I mean, even now, like I had a comp at the weekend, and it was just one match because one guy dropped out, so just ended up one match and got one on points. But the way that I am in competitions now, the process, the positions and the options that I've got, the moves that I'm doing yesterday in sparring, I was doing there was a guy that dropped in at RGA and we were about the same way. I said, do you want to partner up? And I was just messing, and then doing a lasso and then inverting into an omoplata, and like I would have never been able to do that at the start of blue belt, I would have gone, what? I wouldn't even be able to get my lasso in properly, and now I'm able to sequence things a lot better than at the start of that.
Well, you find yourself a lot of blue belt. I find like
massive.
blue belts where I think a lot of people stop doing things as well.
Definitely.
Like in terms of you know what you are. You impose your game now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I say this a lot when I'm teaching beginners. It's like you'll get to the point where it's like, obviously I need to know how to defend anything you're going to throw at me, but I'm not trying to get you with the fucking flying lapel K-guard or whatever the fuck the trend's coming at.
Exactly.
I'm still looking to take you down an arm triangle here.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Fully,
no,
100%. You harness your game, and you know what works for you, and it gives you time to experiment with options. And white belt is just exploring and defending, escaping.
Just turn up, basically.
Just turn up.
Don't worry about it. Don't think too hard. I'm a believer in that. Like white belt, don't think too much, because I've said this in class for anyone who's teaching me if I'm repeating myself. But like I was teaching a class once, and a white belt went, oh, from here and K guard. I was like, mate, I've got no fucking. Firstly, I don't know what you just said. But secondly, just take him down, choke him. Stop.
It's true.
Stop.
It's
you know
true.
What I mean?
And Bruno Zancano, shout out Bruno. Hopefully Bruno will see this, but he's one of my main coaches at RGA HQ, you know, and he regularly will make jokes and he'll go like, he will actually say, you know, he's a 3rd degree black belt, almost 4th degree black belt under Roger Gracie, like
he can grapple a bit.
Yeah, and he's like an amazing coach, and he'll go like, what's this guard called, or like you know, and it's like, there's a big overcomplication with the new era of wanting to know these octopuses into whatevers, and you know, and no disrespect to all that, it's obviously there, but I think you harness what you're good at as you know go through. And
I'm a big believer in effectiveness. Makes sense, because if you don't, what could end up happening is the more popular it gets, it turns into karate. And I'm not shitting on karate. Certain styles are great, but certain styles you go,
Is it practical?
You know what I mean?
Is it applicable?
Right. And Jiu-Jitsu is not that at all.
No.
And it should never be. So like when people start overcomplicating things, that's why I go,
it's too much.
Easy now.
You know, and it can be like that with life sometimes as well. I think, you know, we can overcomplicate things, and rather than break it down simply and stop and be like, okay, what's serving me, what's right for me, you know, but by overcomplicating situations in life, you know, as I'm sure we've said in conversation, Jiu-Jitsu applying to life is a common thing. When you're in Jiu-Jitsu, you see the overlap of life and life application. But it's true, you know, don't overcomplicate things too much. Look at what's important to you. Look at your fundamentals of what you really need from life. And then the same with Jiu-Jitsu, you know, keep it simple, do what serves you, and then double down on that, you know.
That's it. So I only masturbate 3 times a week and don't everything. Stop using your feet.
Just to go from deep, just to bam. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
So like we've all like, where did you start Jiu-Jitsu? You keep mentioning Roger Gracie.
Yeah.
That you start?
Great question. No, I actually started at a place called Matt House. Loads of shout outs come today. Shout out Dom at Matt House. And
where's Matt House?
That's in Reading.
So, south.
Yeah. So I went through a bit of a bit of a dark time, end of COVID, sort of 22, 21, came out of a relationship then, was a bit lost, was living back in Reading, and kind of wanted a bit of redirection, was like, right, where's life going right now? I had a good job, I was coaching at Third Space, I had PT clients, but I just didn't have much direction of like, right, what am I doing? So I thought, okay, I'm going to go back into maybe doing a boxing or a Muay Thai fight, and I started, you know, hitting the bag, sparring again, and then I think I just saw an advertisement online for beginners course Jiu-Jitsu on social media or something like that, and I thought, do you know what? People said to me, oh, come and do Jiu-Jitsu with us, and I've always gone, oh yeah, another time, mate, like I'd just rather hit the bag, like, and you know, didn't really think much of it, and I thought, oh, I'll give it a go, you know, and it was January 22, and went into Matt House to do a beginner's course. And a little bit like when I walked into Double K the first time, I sort of walked in and I was watching people grapple before the course. And before I'd even started Jiu-Jitsu, I was hooked on it. Before I'd even tried it, I watched people do it and I was trying to watch what they were doing. And my brain was going, they're fighting, but there's a game plan to this. And I just instantly went, ooh, like sweaty palms, like, okay. And then learning the positions. And then I remember I finished the first session of beginner's course and I went up to Dom and I said, like, when can I come back? Like, can I come back tomorrow morning? And he went, well, if you want to, like, chill out.
Easy now.
I think they thought I was that guy that was going to, oh, here he goes, one of these people that comes in for 2 weeks and is like, oh, okay, let me do it, and then never see him again. But I knew from the person that I was that I would get very quickly addicted to it. And then I just banged it out, and then, started at Matt House, and within a few weeks, because I was looking for something to delve into and to keep me accountable and keep me on track and disciplined and motivated, I kind of went into it wanting to compete before I'd even done it, because that was the point. It was like, all right, I'll go back into Muay Thai to compete, I'll book a fight, and then I've got something to work towards, and I'll keep on the straight and narrow, and you know, so with Jiu-Jitsu, it was like, okay, there's competitions, and I looked it up, and when can I my mate that Adam Barnes, another shout out, Adam Barnes. We've like one of these people that before Jiu-Jitsu, I wouldn't see him for years. We crossed paths, we come apart, crossed paths. And I saw that he was at Matt House and we started training together and he competed and I said, let's do a competition. So I was doing Jiu-Jitsu about 4 weeks, I think. Signed up for an All-Stars, fuck it, let's do it. So I did the All-Stars in the end of March, which All-Stars I'm doing a couple of weeks as well, same one. And I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu 2.5 months maximum. You know, signed up for gi and no gi. I'd done just the beginner's course in no-gi. I'd not done one no-gi class, and I remember my mates the Adam's filming me, and there's a video, and I'm stepping up for my no-gi match, and he's recording, he went, he's not even done any no-gi before.
Don't grab the clothes, yeah.
Before I said, what do I do? Just don't grab the shorts, don't grab the rash guard, and going on pure instinct, so with All Stars, they do, the no-gi is beginner, intermediate and advanced. They don't do it by belts. So
you get some sandbagging motherfuckers over there.
He just got his blue belt.
Yeah,
so this guy's just got a blue belt, right? But he was a no-gi beginner. So I found out after when I looked at it, I was like, why wasn't he in my gi bracket? Because he was in the blue belt.
Because he's a coward.
Yeah. Shout out that guy. I don't even know who you are. If
I find his name, I'm tagging him.
Yeah. But I got a takedown on him as well. Like, it was just a wrestling. I played rugby growing up as well, so I was just used to, in rugby I was tackling a lot, and I think it was a double leg or something. Or we went clinched, and I ended up on top. So I was 2-0 up, and I was thinking, oh, this is all right. And then he passed my guy, it was 3-2, and 20 seconds left, he triangled me, and then he got the tap. But yeah, afterwards realised that I've done actually all right against a blue belt with no.
But it's interesting what you say there, because I think as you go on, not all the way through, but as you start to get your taps in training and you start to sort of put the pieces together, it's easy to get away from that initial kind of just have a tear up. And people
100%.
kind of go too much the other way before they come back a bit, and then they get the balance right. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Because you see that, especially like with new blue belts, and whoever that guy was, I'm fucking about saying he's a cow, but like he was probably at that point where it was like, I know Jiu Jitsu now to an extent, and it's like, right, overthink it. I lost a competition in the gi. I don't compete much at the moment, to be honest. But I definitely don't compete in the gi much. But like I was at a gi competition once as a new blue belt, and I got into that kind of like, and I ended up losing it on points. To a guy that I go, if I was in the gym, I probably, I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's true.
But I felt like I could have probably slammed him on his head and ripped him to pieces.
Exactly.
But I kind of got caught in that, like, this bit and hold here. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I think there's a balance to be had there, isn't it?
Definitely, I totally agree. You know, and it's the instinct of trying to win the scramble and the scrap, which obviously I was just purely going off at that competition and the first couple of comps, and there's something in that you have to maintain. You have to maintain an assertiveness, a dominance, a need to just be played. Again, that's what I really tried to do at the weekend at this Grapple City comp. And again, another shout out for Grapple City, good comp this weekend. And it was, a playfulness. I said we're going to go in and we're going to be really playful. And one of the things I did before, I'm practicing a lot of gratitude at the moment. So like 2 or 3 times a day, I'll do affirmations about what I want life to be like and what I am right now. You talk to yourself in a certain way, and being grateful for the flat that I live in, the job that I've got, the people that are around me. Actually telling yourself that you're grateful for it programs it into your subconscious, and you talk to yourself in a different way. So before I was on the mats, usually I sort of get really low to the mat, and I sort of say to myself, you've been here before, you've done this before. But this time I was just saying, I'm so fucking grateful to be here. Like, I'm grateful to have a body fit enough to be able to do this shit. I love it. Remember, you love this shit. You're here to compete because you enjoy it, right? And then you get on there and you've got a playfulness, and you're not overthinking, and you're just doing shit, and that's what makes the good work, right?
That's interesting, because it's funny you say that, because I think that, again, going back to like a balance to be had, like when I was fighting in striking, it was, to me, it was like, this is the fucking biggest, most scary thing. This is 100% serious, and I took that in. Whereas I feel, because I came from that background, certain competitions in Jiu Jitsu, I was a bit like,
a bit
we're only having a cuddle today.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, not perform well, not beat, and like a bit
for sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas sometimes I feel like you need to rev it up the other way.
Yes.
But I also think, and Danaher spoke about this too, is like, your personality dictates who you are. I'm not the playful kind of like, hey, my friend. Today we're off. I need to be a bit G'd up.
A bit of a rev. Yeah, for sure.
And I don't think it matters which way you are.
No,
I think as long as it's authentic, do you know what I mean, to you.
100%. And again, that's important in general areas of life. If it's right for you, it's right for you. And I say this to my clients. Sometimes people say to me, oh, like, Paddy, should I be eating this? Or should I train fasted? Or should I, do I need to have simple carbs before, or like, should I take creatine, and should I do da-da-da? And there's some that I would say yes and no to, but there's a lot of answers that I will say, in the nicest way possible. If it works for you, it works for you, you know.
Should I have my Monster Mate flaming hot before I compete?
Yeah, exactly. If it works for you and you don't end up having an accident on the mat, then do it, you know. But it's true. Whatever's right for you, you know, and explore, experiment with different systems. I've tried, you know, a lot when I'm cutting. I'll train fasted because I know it works for me, and I know it'll keep me in a deficit, and I know that I can, you know, it'll push me that bit more. But for some people, it might not work, and they might feel fatigued and tired and injured and whatever. Yeah. So if it serves you, it serves you. You know.
That's interesting because I like fasting. I feel just from the point of view of how I feel mentally sharp. I feel like, you know what I mean. When I have like a black coffee and just eat when I'm hungry. And sometimes that eat when I'm hungry might not be till the evening.
Yeah,
and I'm good to go. I like it. You know
100%. You know, and it's true. And other people, it messes with them a lot, but I love fasting, you know, and for me, I dip in and out of it depending on the volume of training I'm doing. Like if I'm preparing for a competition, then I won't, unless I need to, I won't fast too much, but I will just spread my meals out a little bit, and then say I'm not as active, then I'll go into fasting a little bit more because I know my burnout will be less. So yeah, I think it's a very, very powerful tool, and I'm fortunate to stay quite lean, and I feel like that's one of the methods that you can be really effective at keeping lean.
It's interesting you said that about lean because I'm naturally quite lean as well, and I find like when I fast, because you know people do it for different reasons. Don't they? I find if I've done 3-day fast multiple
I was going to ask if you've
all
done
that kind of business.
How have you found that, the 3-day fast? Really?
And before I'll get into it, but before I do, the reason I said it was because I don't find it affects my weight at all.
Right,
do you know what I mean? You know where people do it like if you're overweight to lose weight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've found no matter whether I'm fasting or I'm eating as much as I want, not as much as I want, but if I'm eating well and I'm eating a lot and blah blah blah.
For sure.
It doesn't change me much. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, I haven't done it for extended periods of time. As I say, 3 days is the longest fast I've done, 3.5 days. But I just feel good on it. And to answer your question, I've done it about 5, 6, 7 times, sort of around that sort of mark. And I find it much better when I just carry on. So if I get up in the morning, train hard twice a day, like I normally would. By the end of the 3rd day, I posted on my Instagram a few years ago a photo of me doing ring workout, and I think I was 70 hours into a 72-hour fast. I trained twice a day every day. Just drank water. Brilliant. Felt great.
That's amazing.
Absolutely fine. But the time I did it, I did once. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be, flow with the wind, connected to the fucking universe. I went away. I took myself off like a fucking weirdo to the countryside by myself.
Why not though?
Hardest one. Because all you're doing is thinking about fucking food.
Yeah, it's different.
All I'm doing is thinking about food. Exactly. I was thinking I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be meditating and I'm gonna find God. Not God, but you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna find, for sure. I'm gonna find the answers.
And I get that, and I totally connect with nature. And there's a great book. I don't know if you heard of Atomic Habits. This book, it's unbelievable. Definitely recommend it. And it's something I need to go back on because there's so many tools in there. But I'm trying to remember the author. I can't remember the author, but I think what happened, he had an injury in college playing baseball. If I remember the story right at the start of the book, he didn't have a helmet on. Someone swung a baseball bat and the bat came out the hand and it hit him in the head. So he had really bad nerve damage and he had to teach himself to walk again. And he basically went away and researched habits and how we break habits and build habits. And it's a really, really interesting book, especially if you're looking to quit smoking, if you're looking to improve your health, or there's so many tools in there that you can use and applicable stuff. He creates a system. But something he talks about a lot is like association of places. So a really interesting part of that is he talks about soldiers in Afghanistan. They come home and so many of, I think it was Afghanistan somewhere, but a lot of them were smoking like opioids when they were away, right? So they were essentially taking heroin because they were around poppy fields, whatever. Right. And only like a 6% or something when they came home actually even though they were addicted when they were out there, they were proper heroin addicts, only like 6% when they came home relapsed. And the reason is their environment was different. So your environment is everything. So if you're trying to stop a habit, you have to break the environmental cycle. Yeah. So if you've gone into a new environment with a new thing, it's like your body is going, what the fuck are you doing to me, Ollie? So that's probably why, right? Whereas if you're at home in your usual environment, your usual setting, your body is like, okay, it's just our usual routine. So it doesn't affect it as much. So.
That's interesting, isn't it? Get away from the bat. Leave her, kids. Leave her. Make sure you leave her. No, but it is true. It's definitely true because I feel like, as I say, when I was away that time, I'm fasting. I was fucking starving. Mate, this is hard. I laid in bed. Like, I'm an early riser, as you are. We spoke about that. But like, I was in bed one day till about 8 o'clock. That doesn't sound late, but 8 in the morning for me is like lunchtime, right? For me, I was like, it felt like, like the whole thing was stressful. And then when I broke the fast, I didn't feel good. I was like, I just got to carry on. Like for me, I don't know about for everyone. You hear about people go to retreats and they have a great experience, which was kind of my thinking, you know. But yeah, when I've just carried on, trained like I normally do, don't think about it.
That's it.
Day 2, I got a bit hungry, but that's it. Just hungry, not like starving, not like... And the energy was the thing that got me. And mental sharpness. I felt sharp as a motherfucker. Yeah, exactly. Like, super sharp.
And I think also that obviously all the physiological benefits of it as well, but it's also the discipline of stopping something, whether that is, so like the start of the year, I've not drunk alcohol since the 1st of Jan. I was just, Christmas was a bit of a messy period, and I was like, right, you know, and one of the things for me is like I can go and I can drink and I can smoke and I can do whatever, and I will still be fit and lean and train and function, and you know, it won't affect me on the surface level.
Right.
But you know, if I want to go out and I want to win Masters Europeans in Barcelona, I want to go out to Vegas and win Masters Worlds, then that 2-3% difference will show, you know. So the start of the year I was like, right, okay, I'm going to cut out tobacco, I'm going to cut out cigarettes. Recently cut out the worst one, which is the vapes as well, like which was.
Is that the worst one?
Hardest one out of all of them for me, I think, because the vapes are. I mean, I'm quite open about this. Some people are like, what? Like, I posted on my Instagram the other day, but you know, I'll talk about this stuff. Yes, I'm a fitness coach, just drunk, smoked, gone out, done the rest. You know, because it's important to know that people are people, and we do this stuff. You know, whether you're an athlete, whether you're an actor, whether you're whatever, we do this shit, right? And so yeah, it's. I think the discipline this year of cutting out the all of those things that we've mentioned has been the biggest thing. Physically, I feel great, but also I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not. I will. I know at some point I'm going to go and I'm going to have a different relationship with it, you know, and I'll be able to have a beer, and you know, if I go and have a big night out, I can enjoy it and put it to bed after, rather than it blending into the next weekend and then dipping in the week, and then you know it just starts to.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because I think as well the reason you're doing it makes because we all know people that drink and they're good athletes and whatever, but for them it's more of a and like they have that as that, but then when they're training they're fucking on.
That's
you know
it,
what I mean?
exactly.
And the reason what perked my ears up when you said vape is I stopped drinking when I was 18. I don't smoke, never done any of that stuff.
Brilliant.
You know? But I've vaped as an adult.
Really? There you go. See?
Like, might have been a woman involved in them. But like,
there usually always is.
Down for men, but that's another rant. That's part 2. We're doing another relationship advice with 2 idiots. Anyway, or 1 idiot anyway. I can't speak for
definitely 2.
But I used to do it. And I used to feel good on it.
Yeah.
Which is why you do it. Sounds stupid.
Yeah,
of course
sure.
you did.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't feel any negatives at all. No. I've stopped doing it now. And to be honest with you, the reason I stopped doing it was because the vape had a leak. And you know, it was a pain in the arse. I threw the vape away. Never got around to buying another one. And that's about 3 years ago. You know, but
wicked.
The point, and I work with a guy who's he competed at World's Strongest Man. He's been on there, Big Young Valga Williams, I think you say his name. So shout out, mate. But he was big on nicotine.
Right.
So he didn't vape. He used to have them nicotine like pouches. He put them
Right.
And the first time he gave me one, he put it, and I was like eyes watering, like burnt. Like it felt like it was acid.
Yeah, no, it is.
As in acid through my thing, not a trip. But I'd done that a few times, and I thought it was good. And I don't know if you've got much experience with the nicotine vibe and what you think for training and whatnot.
It's interesting, and like, because I heard recently about these, like, I don't know, snuffs or whatever it's called, the things that you put in here, and I was reading yesterday, funnily enough, and talking to someone about how they've blown up almost like vapes now. I think it's going to be the next thing that people are doing. But apparently people like Haaland are playing Premier League games with 2 of them in their mouth.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like Ben White was another name that came up, and like, I don't know the truth in it, but like a lot of athletes and it's mad to think that, you know. And
well, nicotine itself is good for your brain, no?
I think it can, obviously, extremely addictive substance, but I think there are benefits to it, exactly. And what I'm actually on now is the little nicotine mints. Okay. So they're like 4 milligram. They're fucking strong, but they sit.
I've got to get on them.
Yeah, no, they're good, and they sit on your tongue, and they can dissolve there for 10-15 minutes. So for me, it's like everywhere. Going back to the Atomic Habits thing, I was like, right, if I need to stop the vapes, I drive a motorbike, and when I get on my bike, I vape before. I drive my bike, I get off my bike, I vape. So I need to replace that with something else. So then that's when I have them in, and you know, for me, it just sits there and they kind of let it dissolve in the mouth. So
and where can I get these? Because I've got to try these.
I'll send you a link. Just on Amazon.
Oh, is that right?
They're like a nicotine sort of thing.
Oh, right, brilliant.
They just sit on there and they dissolve, and so I've gone from having to cover the smell of smoke up to now just having to be cleaner. Exactly. And it's a lot better, you know. But it's something that I would definitely look into more, because you're right. I think there must be a reason that Prem players, if it's true, are playing with them in. You know.
Well, do you know, I was in Amsterdam training. early last year, so about a year ago now. And I was talking to one of the guys, and like obviously in Amsterdam, I've never done mushrooms or anything like that, but like mushroom, you can buy them, right? You can go to the shop and you can sort yourself out. And one of the fighters was, well, I won't do the accent. But
you almost went for it.
Almost did it there, dived in, didn't I? But he was like, I take it for... But basically what he was saying, he was in his 40s, this guy, and he was worried about brain trauma and all this kind of stuff. What a big, massive lump of a man. So he'd probably been kicked and punched in the head by other big mountain men. And he was swore by him. He said, makes me better, makes me feel good, makes me this. It's not as funny without the accent, never mind. But and he was like, good. And I was in that mindset of, I'm here by myself training. Fuck it, I'm going to do it. But then I thought, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't want to go to the moon and be stuck like a zombie for 4 days. Do you know what I mean?
Open your consciousness.
So I didn't do it.
No, it's a big thing, and I'm actually pleased you brought this up because I was talking to someone recently about microdosing, and this is a new thing now that people. So for anyone who doesn't know about microdosing, there's a lot of substances they're experimenting with, particularly psilocybin, which is the compound found in mushrooms. And there's an argument and a theory that if you take a small enough dose of mushrooms, psilocybin specifically, that doesn't make you trip, is not subconscious, there's another word, I can't remember what it is, but you can't feel it essentially. You would take it small enough that you don't feel it, but it affects your consciousness in a certain way that it opens up, because it's a stupid amount of our brain that we don't use, right? Like something like 90% of your brain or something that we don't use. We only use a small part, but if we use a small amount of these substances, potentially we can access part of our brain. But have you seen Limitless with a bit like Limitless? I'm like, ooh.
But it's interesting you say that, and not to cut you off, because but it's like, I don't know if you drink coffee. You're a coffee man. So I'm a big coffee man. Now, it's not the same thing, obviously. You're not tripping on coffee necessarily. But like, if I have coffee and I'm sharp and I feel good, especially fasted, there's a difference, right? There is like you say, it's not like subconscious, you feel it, but you're still the same. You wouldn't notice, but I know.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've ever done like bulletproof coffees and things.
No.
Do you know what they are?
No, what's that?
It's like, it's like MCT oil and butter in the coffee, so it's like a slow release of fats. If I'm butchering it, help me out.
I love that.
But it's like, and you drink it and you're not hungry, and it's like it's like intertwined with a fasting thing, whatnot. Anyway, when I do that, be careful with the old MCT oil, by the way, because you need to go 5 minutes ago. Forget it. You've missed your opportunity. Many a shorts have I ruined. But that's neither here nor there. No, but like there's like there's definitely a feeling to it, and it's made like when you were saying that. That's what I thought of. Like was like. You're not tripping, obviously, but you're keyed in and you feel sharp and you feel like you're too slick Rick. Do you know what I mean? You're ready to go.
Absolutely. And I'm in one of these people that is weirdly between a very scientific, pragmatic, logic way of thinking, and also but also spiritual as well, in the sense of like, looking at the way that the world works and the way that we should talk to ourselves and treat ourselves and daily habits, and I think that there is a fine line of appreciating research that comes out about certain things that then connects us to our inner self, and that's where I really thrive and really gets me. I'm like, oh, okay, right, stuff that is natural, but also stuff that we're discovering more about through science, through research, that connects us deeper to ourselves. And I think for me, that's the stuff that really lights the fire in the belly. I'm like, okay, that's the interesting stuff. So definitely something to think about more.
Because like you said it, they're natural. I was thinking before you said it, is like anything that's natural makes me go something to it, right? In terms of like cold therapy, meditation, the breathing. It's here for us, right? Without sounding like too much of a hippie.
No, for sure.
Whatever's 100%. There is there for us, right? And now we've all spoke to people, and maybe we get onto conspiracies later. Like, you start teasing flat Earth with them, and you go on a whole journey. But they go so far and so crazy, they almost start to make sense again.
It's true though. Absolutely is.
And like before we get too much into all kinds of things, because before I forget more than anything, you said about like mindset and stuff like that. Have you worked with mindset coaches and hypnotherapists and things like that?
Not too much. It's mainly a little bit of just own reading and own research.
Right. Have you heard of a fella called Vinny Shorman by any chance?
I have heard.
So Vinny's great. He's been on the podcast. Shout out Vinny. Vinny's a great guy. Invite me to his heart. Brilliant guy. Brilliant.
Amazing.
Like just what you see is is exactly like that. You know, you turn up, talks to you the same.
Gives
you the time of day. So I can't say enough good things about Vinny. But one of the things he said, and I've told this a little bit on here before, is like when he's working with fighters and how he kind of, you expect him to go, hold my hand and breathe. Not him necessarily, but for me, like, you think of hypnotism, it's like, believe in you.
Yeah.
I said to him, like, a fighter comes and the answer he gave me was way off what I thought. I said to him, like, and you can watch the episode, guys, but he's talking about, like, I'd say, what do you do? Step one, a fighter comes to you, I'm nervous, I'm scared, don't do it then. And I was like, and he was like, just sticks it on them. And he said, again, I don't want to butcher it, but he said that what I took from it was he was going like, don't do it then. And then from that he gets a reaction because they go, well, fucking, I want to, I'm fighting, blah, blah, blah. And they said, that's where we go.
For, right?
Because
amazing.
Like, he just stuck it on, don't do it then.
It's true. And I love that, and I'm sure Vinny's got like multitudes more experience in this obviously than I do, but I totally get that because it's like, there's obviously a reason deeper down, right? That we would want to do things, but then again, like we were saying, we overcomplicate it with our, with other stuff, and I'm just listening to the audiobook at the moment of Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, who's a guy that anyone that's done any spirituality will have heard of. Joe Dispenza. He's blown up massively in the last 2 years, and a name that it just pops up again, a bit like Thailand. It's like so I was like, right, okay, this popped up 1,500 times. I've got to have a little read of him, listen. And it's brilliant. He talks a lot about disconnecting from our 3D world around us, of our job, life, house, dog, kids, wife, etc. If we can break away from that and become completely present in our body, we connect a lot more to the what he calls the quantum field, I'm going to tangent now, I'm just going to go with it, but like everything we've got in our world around us, if we go subatomic particles and we look what's inside it, is below in the electrons and the neutrons is just energy, is just space, it's just nothingness. So me, you, this sofa, it's actually energy, it's not anything that's actually there. And when you try and, a little bit like trying to compartmentalize, if that's the right word, like death. We can't understand death because we've never been through it.
Right.
To understand quantum, it's really difficult because we can't quite see it. So it's a bit, but yeah, coming onto that, it's like that. It's that deeper understanding of like what's in there, and if you could break away from the things that we just see around us and our lives that we've created, and we can disconnect from that, then we get to that deeper part of ourselves. So I think that's interesting.
It's interesting you say that when you said like people keep popping up, because literally that's how I run this podcast in terms of how guests come. Like you see someone and because a lot of times people ask me like, how'd you get in touch with me? Like, I don't know. We know, like if you look on our Instagram, we know like 5 people in common, but we don't know each other. We're not aware of each other at all.
For sure.
And I said basically that. Like, I just kept seeing you, so I thought, fuck it, like it's time. Do you know what I mean? And that's what happened with you. I saw you 3, 4, 5 times on the thing, and I thought,
there we go.
That's enough. I'll message him. Do you know what I mean? Or however it goes, because I think there's something there, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's something to that kind of, you keep seeing things, you keep seeing the same people, and it's like it's a strange, because if you don't say it the way we're saying it now, or how you articulated it well, you sound like a fucking lunatic.
It's true.
You sound like the guy that's going says that, and then he goes, oh, and by the way, I'm going to meet Tutankhamun later for lunch. And you go, well, all right,
he's lost the plot.
Do you know what I mean? He's mad. The guy's mad. You know what I mean?
Especially like I think generationally, like the older generation can sometimes look at this stuff and go like, yeah, but it's just happened because it's just happened. You know. I'm going to try and say as much as I can say without saying it, but the thing that I was waiting on the call, there's a place for this potential acting job coming up, that a location that they're filming in, and I was talking to someone in the Jiu Jitsu changing rooms the other day. He said, how's your acting going? I said, yeah, really good. I've had a couple of tapes, waiting on something really big at the moment. The phone could ring any minute. It's filming in this place, and the bloke was stood where you are. He turned around, he said, I've got a house there, and he had the name of the place written on his t-shirt. And now, Ollie, this isn't like Ireland or France. Like, this is a place where you would go, what? Like, it's a really obscure foreign location that you would go, whoa, like. And again, I think, some people say, oh, it's just coincidence, like, but it's your choice. Again, it's your choice if you want to look at life like that and say, oh, it's happened by coincidence. But it gives you a much more fulfilling life, if anything, if you allow yourself to see these things and happen for a reason, right?
Do you know what's funny? You say that. What came to mind then? An experience I had very similar last year, and I was going to America. It was around the Vinnie Shawman thing, actually. And do you know who Liam Harrison is, the kickboxer?
Of course, yeah.
Right, everyone knows who he is. Right?
Mate.
I was at his fight in Denver,
Wicked,
right? Okay.
wicked.
Now I don't know him, but he was on my flight.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
just
yeah.
to come in. But
Brilliant.
touching on it, I'd spoke to Vinnie about him. Obviously, it was a big part of the podcast. He works with him. He's a big star. He's an animal. Blah blah. Spoke about certain things he did because one of the things that came to mind is he planted a word into him. Blah blah. Anyway. I'm going to Denver. And he goes, oh, Liam Harrison's fighting that day. I was like, wow, fuck, I'm there. I've got my tickets. Yeah, great. So just that's in my mind, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm at Heathrow. I'm flying out. I've got podcasts, I've got training, whatever. And you know when you're in your own little world and you're thinking about things. And I was thinking about the podcast I'd done with Vinny, and I was going, Liam Harrison in my brain, and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I don't know him. So I'll put that, like, it's not like I'm my pal Liam.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't know him at all. Obviously know who he is. Whatever. Anyway, I'm sitting there and blah, blah. I go, fucking, looking around, whatever. And I just look up. Who stood right in front of me, walking towards me, like looking at me. He's not looking at me, but he's looking through me, right?
Yeah.
Liam Harrison. I go, fuck, I know.
That's mad.
And as I'm sitting there going, this is a mad fucking situation. He's at the front of the bus and I'm in the cheap seats at the back, right? So we're not sitting next to each other. But as I walk through, I'm going down and he's blah, blah. And we just catch eyes again. Just a simple thing like I'd catch eyes with you. I'm sitting there, okay, cool, whatever. No big deal. I'm thinking, I've got to get tickets to the fight. I forgot that. It's put it back in my brain. I get in touch with the gym out there I'm training in because the one championship which they're fighting on happened to be having the open workouts.
Right, got ya.
Now they let me train for free there because they're Eastern BJJ, I think they're called, in Denver, Boulder, all that area. They let you train them for free. They're great guys.
Nice.
Blah blah. Anyway, they let you train there, but because I'm not a member, I couldn't qualify to go to the open workouts. I'm going to the bird on the. Oh, sorry, not bird on the desk. The lady on the desk. I'm going, look, come fucking sort me out. I'm here. I'm in town. Sorry, sir. Can't. Cool. I'm sitting there. Nah, fuck that. I walked back to. I said, listen. I'm coming. You're gonna throw me out. I'm coming. What can we do? She goes, okay, give me a second. She kind of winked at me as like, whatever. Rings the manager. She goes, okay, cool. If you pay for a month membership, we'll let you do it. I thought, fair enough. Cool. Fair enough. Paid a month membership. I'm in the open workout. And they're there smashing pads and whatever. Anyway, I'm going on a long rant. But the point is, I watched the fight. I was at the open workouts, talking to him as close as I could. Blah blah blah. Jonathan Haggerty was there as well. Anyway, but it's the same thing. That kind of like, I'm just thinking about it. And I know people listen to that and go, well, so what, you idiot? You just happen to be there. I get it. But like, I was, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's in your brain.
And I think it's the word that pops out to me a lot at the moment is alignment. If things are aligned, then they're meant to be. And if you want to align something for yourself, you can do it. You just have to. You have to consciously do the work today, but you have to, visualize what the life you want. You have to visualize where you want to be, and then things will start happening to you. Like, things people pop up on Instagram, or you bump into someone at the airport, or someone will wear a T-shirt of an audition location. Like, this stuff happens, and you can choose to ignore it or choose to write it off as coincidence, or you can embrace that idea of like, okay, maybe there's something in this,
And it's funny because I think a lot of people have them stories, wouldn't they? But they don't put the pieces together and think anything of it. There was a funny one with a client. I won't go too much on stories, but a client of mine, he was a Northern Irish guy, grew up without a dad, all that kind of stuff. Martin O'Neill, the football manager, was his hero, right?
Wicked.
And he said he was going for a hard time in his life, blah, blah, blah. And he was thinking about Martin O'Neill a lot. And he was at a premiere, he was in the film business and whatnot. And Martin O'Neill was in front of him.
No way.
And he said to me, Ollie, I had a big fuck up. He said, this guy was my hero as a kid. So he turned round, looked at me. Now, my client was quite a tall guy. Martin O'Neill was a little guy. He said he turned round and he said, for a split second, I'm that fucking 7-year-old. And he went, I went to go, hi Martin, you was, and as he did, he went, and started crying.
Oh,
and he started going, Martin O'Neill, but he said, Martin O'Neill just put his hand on his shoulder and went, it's okay, son. It's okay.
That's brilliant. That's a great story.
Funny story.
The full mental breakdown, overwhelmed with emotion.
He put his hand up and went,
that is brilliant.
Father of like 4 or whatever he is at the time.
Crazy,
you know what I mean? Like funny
but
stuff.
It happens, Your emotions get the better of you, don't they?
Yeah, but the mental stuff, like that always fascinates me because, again, like I've touched on with other things, you can do too much of that too. We all know the person in the gym. And we're not knocking people.
No,
but
for sure.
Sit there, they've got their magic beads, they've got a crystal, they meditate 17 times an hour.
Yeah,
they're like, do you know what I mean?
It's
they're
true.
aligned with everything,
It's
but
true.
they suck.
Yeah, it's,
you know what I mean?
It's true.
It doesn't work.
It's true. It
doesn't work.
I get you. I know. I think there's a lot of truth to that as well, and there has to be a balance of application and that as well. I think you have to, those elements are really good things to bring into your life because you're, subconscious, whatever you want to call it, you can instill confidence and, talk to yourself in a way that gives yourself a different vibration and energy. But that's no good if you're not going to apply it and put the work in, you know, and you're not going to train hard and eat clean.
But you can overdo it as well, I think, can't you? You can psych yourself out. You can do the other side of things, you know.
Exactly.
What I mean? I've done everything perfect, and my left toenail's not trimmed correctly.
Exactly. You go too far in. So there's a balance, I think.
And does that come back to the comfort thing? Because I'll tell you one thing I used to do when I was boxing, and I didn't really notice it till I was doing it every time. I'd wrap my hands. Wrap the left one, wrap the right one, undo the left one, redo the left one. For no fucking reason. I don't know what.
Just superstition.
But it wasn't even superstition. It was less than that. It was like, take that off, do it again. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, just a habit. Like you'd pick your fucking finger or something. It was weird, and I just did it every time.
That's it.
But you like box, as fighters especially, you know, some of the most superstitious people you'll ever come across.
It's crazy.
Mate, you'll have guys, I know people, no names because they'll sound fucking mad, even though they are, but they're national champions, like gone on to be great pros as boxers, blah, blah, blah. They're doing mad shit in the changing room. They're like flick their ear, like do the laces.
It's true.
Pull your pants down, pull your pants up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all mad shit that you look at them and you go, you don't need that.
No,
I've seen you in the gym. You don't fucking need that.
That's it. And I think what it probably does, again, it comes back to us. It does something to us that tells ourselves, okay, we're safe now. We're good now. Like it's a way of, without us knowing it, telling our body, all right, you're okay. I've got an itch, I scratch it. It's done. It's that sort of thing. And like my dad would definitely be watching this. Shout out my dad, big love dad. And he
what's his name? Don't call him Dad.
He's Paddy.
Big Paddy.
He's Paddy Senior, as my friends call him. But my dad was a high level amateur boxer, and he had a bit of a superstition thing. I don't know, I think it was a jumper or something that he would take in his bag to every fight, and he won a fight by knockout. I think he had this jumper in his bag, and I think he said he brought it every fight with him, and he won something like 19 fights back to back boxing when the boxing level was really high. Amateur was just smashing everyone, and then would do the same thing, would bring the same jumper in the bag, something along those lines. Dad, you know what it is. But it's and then he lost his next one. I was like, okay, and then he just fucked it off. Didn't do it anymore. You know, but it was that subconsciously instilling that. Okay, I've got the habit. I've created the process so that when you step in the ring or step on the mats,
I'm good.
I'm ready to go.
Nothing in the exactly. But it's funny you say that because there's so many ways. What club did your dad box for? By
West Ham. I think West Ham Boxing Club. I think it was
rival club. Never mind. Shout out West Ham Boxing Club. Well, fuck you at the same time. No, and your football team. But never mind. But Conor McGregor spoke about that with a hat. I think it was his granddad's hat or something in his bag and whatever. And Ronda Rousey had little things and whatnot. And the reason I bring them two up is because later in their career, they seem like, and obviously I can't speak for them, but especially Ronda, and I think Conor McGregor more nowadays, they look like people that are trying to play who they used to be. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
For sure,
like in terms of like Conor McGregor, if you watch them old videos, he's like reading the law of attraction. But he's like free and he's like enjoying it. Like when he fought Eddie Alvarez is always a great example. He was just
loose.
Floating. Do you know what I mean? Like and whatever. Ronda Rousey was like, I'm going to beat this bitch because I can.
Yeah, exactly.
But then later on you watch him, like when she's walking to the ring against Amanda Nunes, she's like,
boom,
and it's like,
steaming out.
You're not that anymore. You're trying to be that. You're trying to give that image, but it's fake, and we can all see it.
And that's the psychology of athletes and fighters that I find really interesting. And again, that's why I find people like Vinny as well, you know, incredible, because getting into that mindset and that understanding of like, okay, what's changed? And a lot of it, talking to those people, is fame, is money, is being in the media limelight, that it changed something in their subconscious that they didn't have, that you know, the struggle, the fight, that there was something's changed in them, and how do you get that back, you know? And it's
almost like a mission complete, isn't it?
Yes.
Now you need to stop, chill, reset, and have a new mission.
Exactly, because otherwise, you know, you're chasing the inevitable, and then you start to spiral downwards. I talk a lot to my clients, upwards, downward spirals, and you know, I think then you lose one, and then you lose the next one, and then you're chasing that downward spiral.
Tony Ferguson lost 8 in a row. At one point, he was the next big thing.
It's true, and it's just gone boom, 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 you know, and it's, so it's that spiral, isn't it? You know,
it's that chasing. Like, it is. It's like the fakeness of trying to be who you used to be. And fake, I don't mean fake like in the way it sounds, you know what I mean? But like, you're not who you used to be. It's fine.
For sure.
Be someone else now and be the new version of that versus like Conor McGregor when he was 25 was on the dole. Living with his parents, no money. You're not that no more. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. You don't need to be that anymore. It's like, 100%. It's a strange kind of vibe that I think people get stuck in. And I almost feel like it's a good thing to get to it. then just chill for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that doesn't mean time and like relax necessarily. It might do, but I mean in terms of like just stop for a second.
Yeah,
reassess the situation.
Exactly. Don't stop like Conor stopped and then just go mad on the bag. Like that's just.
Did you see him in the bag the other day? By the way, it's like one of them like water bags, and he's eating bare knuckle.
No, oh, I did actually.
And he's like, and then you do this, and then you look at him and you get a bit like.
Yeah.
I think I'd have posted that one.
Yeah, no, he bless him. But he's in a completely different space in his life now, isn't he, to where he was. And like we said, you can't ever go back. So, you know, you either do one or two things. You give up fighting and you embrace a whole new lifestyle, or you do, you know, where Conor is, that he's still chasing being a fighter. I'm going to fight. But he's going out and, you know, he's
I think it gets me with Conor, and obviously I'm looking from way the outside, but it's like he's as this kind of like, it's almost like a chip on his shoulder, where it's like he's like not happy with himself.
No, yeah.
And you know where you go, if you just stood back a step, and just looked at what you'd done, you could probably just 100%. Chill.
And again, I think it comes to that gratitude thing again. A really, really powerful tool. And the guy that with the T-shirt from the story I mentioned earlier at RGA, he's a self-development coach as well. To add to the really. And he went, look, this isn't a coincidence. Come to my car, I've got my book, and he gave me his book, and it's called Not Even Crabs Walk Backwards. Shout out George.
Did he bill you for it after?
No, here's the slip. Here's my PayPal. Where was I going with that?
He gave you his book. The guy with the T-shirt was talking about Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Not being happy with himself.
Gratitude, that was the one. So, you know, George in his book talks a lot about gratitude as well. And I think, you know, there's an element of that, of being grateful for the new life you've got, of actually practicing that gratitude and realising what you've got around you to then maybe help you change your mindset of what's important. You know, I'm great, like for Conor, I'm not saying that I could be Conor's mindset coach, right? But as an example, like...
Fuck it, go on.
If I was Conor's mindset coach, you know, I'm grateful for my wife, my kids. I'm grateful for this life and this house that I've got, you know, and then using that gratitude to then fuel the mindset of the next thing, not just embracing, not just the materialistic party lifestyle of going out, you know, sitting back, taking time away from that culture of going to these big BKFC events and staying up and doing all the madness that I'm, you know, it's like stepping away from that, practicing the gratitude of, wow, I've got the kids, I've got everything I ever wanted. Like, look at how grateful I am. I'm going to use that gratitude now. That, you know, for me, that would be a way that you reset that mindset a little bit and change the perspective, rather than, I'm a party animal, but I'm still the best fighter in the world. Well, you're not the best fighter in the world right now. And you are a party animal, and you can't do those two things at the same time. So, like, what's more important to you, the partying or the fighting?
Well, he put out a tweet, and I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know, but it was going around doing the rounds back in, I want to say 2016-ish. He said he showed a post he'd made from like before he got in UFC or something, and it was along the lines of, all I want in life is, I think it was like 25 million in the bank, a black belt in Jiu Jitsu, and a gold belt. And then under it was like ... Why did I set my goal so long? You know? And it's like, it's funny, isn't it? But it's like, it made me think of like, I don't know if you know who Dorian Yates is, the bodybuilder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Right, very into the psychedelics.
Oh, for sure.
But he said, like, when he went through a bad period when he retired, because he split up his wife, all kind of blah, 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 like mad life, he was doing drugs, partying, whatever. And he said that it was like, he came to the realization of like, it's not so much I can't do that anymore. It's more like I can do all this other shit now.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Because he had to be so disciplined. I couldn't eat what I wanted. I couldn't travel when I wanted. But he was like, when he reframed it in his mind of like, now I can do all that stuff. He said it started to turn around. I think
for sure.
I know. Again, it makes you sound a bit hippie-fied, doesn't it? But
no.
I think it's relevant, isn't it? You know,
100%. And you have to learn from the guys that have been there at that level, because there's only a small select group of people that get to a discipline or a sport of the highest standard and then have to go through that rebirth again. You know, like the people that are at the top level, most competitive sports, there's only a small amount that go from the gutter, or if you want to call it that, or even normal life, get to that level. And then where do you go? You know, and I find that really interesting. Like, what happens to that person? The Macbeth, you know, that falls. Like, I'm coming to my actor side now, but it's true. You know, you get to the point, you achieve it all, and then, like, for me, what you just said about Conor, like, why did I set my standards too low? For me, like, he's already said the wrong thing. Like, he's already gone, like, he's almost disregarded the achievements and been like, like, made a joke of it. Like, no, like, fuck that. You've achieved what you set out to achieve. Like, embrace that. I've fucking done it. Like, and now what do I want to do? I did it. I'm proud of myself. Like,
Right.
You know, where can I go now? Rather than, you know, that for me is the mindset difference of like, okay, we joke about things and we disregard things and whatever. But I think that there's a thing to that of like, don't joke. If you joke about it, you're telling yourself that, you know.
He's an interesting case as well because I think, like, and it's easy, innit, to sit here and fucking tell what Conor should have done.
Exactly.
But, like, it's when he come back to fight Khabib, he was, like, angry and fucking, I'm still...
For
like,
sure.
I know, again, it's so easy to say now, but after he fought Floyd... He's made all that money. He would have been looked at as one of the greatest UFC fighters.
That's it, it's true.
He was probably 28 at the time. Could have sailed off into the distance.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
And like, it's easy to say. But like when he come back, that's the difference. But then he almost had another rebirth against Donald Cerrone. I don't know if you remember that one.
No, I do. That was when he was doing like not the head, it was the shoulder and the shoulder.
The shoulder, and he smashed him to pieces. And he was, but you don't. There's a lot of pieces and all. Like when you're that rich, there's a lot of stress that comes with that.
For sure.
And the other thing, I think the big one, which is obvious, is the fame.
Like,
me and you leave here now and we go down like for a coffee. No one gives a fuck.
No,
like, even when this podcast becomes the biggest thing since sliced bread. But like, jokes aside, it's like you can just live a life, like, and a certain level of fame. Like acting's a good example because I'm not talking about you George Clooney's in the world, but there's a lot of actors that have been in big films 100%. That live a fairly normal life. I used to train. I won't mention who it is, but I used to train a singer, very well known in the UK. But his level of fame was like, if we walked from like whatever to get a coffee and go back to the studio and stuff, like people would look and wouldn't say anything. Some people would come up and go, oh, sorry, so-and-so, can I have a picture? I was a real big fan. But it was like a cool level of fame.
Exactly.
It weren't like the whole fucking street following us. Do you know what I'm saying?
There's that fine line, isn't there? And I think that's what I've always, I've been in, relationships or whatever, well in the past and things with people being like, sometimes you can get worried about it. Well, what if it did take off? You know, what if you actually got mega famous? And for me, like, I've never wanted that mega fame. Like, I love acting because I love telling a story. Like, I've always loved that from a young age of like, okay, I'm part of a group of people and there's people watching, we're going to tell you a story. We're going to make you feel a certain way so that when we leave this auditorium, if it's a theatre, or you finish watching this film, or you're reacting, you're thinking about your life or the world differently, and that's what I love about acting. But I've never wanted it for the fame. Obviously, the financial stability that could come of it is great. But
it's a trade-off, isn't it? Like I always say that about Premier League footballers. That's a hard fucking life, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that ain't an easy life.
No,
like if you're Haaland, you mentioned earlier. Like people can say what they want. Oh, he earns fucking 400 grand a week. You're losing a lot too, aren't you?
Massively. You got your freedom is gone, and again, something that I was talking to someone about the other day is that feeling of freedom. Well, we were just saying like in Thailand, right? It's that people love it because it's free and you've got no limitations. And I think once you get to that level of fame, yes, you have all those achievements, but you lose your freedom forever, Mate,
I tell you, I was in a hotel at Christmas, right? And Chelsea team come through, and Cole Palmer, superstar, isn't he, right? 22-year-old kid. Now he was swarmed on. Now there's a barrier, so they couldn't get to him. Cole. But he kind of like faced down and walked past, and someone said, I won't say it was because He said, "Fucking miserable cunt," isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like fucking. And I said, but all that money he can't say hello. I said, but listen, he's a 22-year-old kid.
Exactly.
He's 22.
It's true.
Like, imagine that. And the person I was talking to had a 22-year-old daughter.
There you go.
And I'm going, that's the same age as such and such. And they go, yeah, you're right. And it's true. It's true. Like, and the reason I say him for that age, because that would be his whole adult life. So by the time he's our age, I'm a bit older, but we'll put us in the same bracket. But like by the time he's our age, he's never had our life where we've been a grown adult, no one gives a fuck. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So like he'll still be in that kind of
exactly.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
It affects you, in the way you are, and how you have to act day to day is your energy is everything, right? And if you have to have that energy of head down, walk forwards everywhere you go, because otherwise you get swarmed. You're programming your body and your life to be like that forever. Especially
when you're young. Because it's scary forever.
Exactly.
Because even though you're 30, you're still that. Exactly. But like you've done acting, right? So I'm sure you've been recognised that and about.
Do you know what? Because I've done bits and bobs. I haven't, but I have been in like when I've been on theatre tours,
right? So you've been
in cities. I've been in cities. Oh, I saw you in the show last night, or you on that poster in the show that's come to town, and so I've had little experiences like people wait at stage door for you, or whatever. And for me, in those experiences, because it's so small, it's like, oh, great, like someone's seen me in the show.
That's what I mean.
You know,
and
it's
that's
lovely.
what I'm asking.
It's
because
really
the novelty
nice.
has not worn off
it's
by
not
any
worn off.
means. And the reason I say that is because I was in Brighton for a podcast. And I'd done it and I'm going for a Nando's and whatever, right? I'm walking, I'm by myself, I'm just dressed like this. Some geezer's looking at me. Now, I'm no one, right? So I'm looking at him like, who's this fucking idiot? I'm at the point where I'm about to go, you fucking looking at?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, he comes over and goes, excuse me, are you Squeeze the Neck guy?
No way.
I swear to God, right? And people go, fuck off. I swear to God, this is true. If you're watching this, comment and say it was me, because this happened. And I swear to God, he's gone, let's get a picture. He's gone like,
brilliant.
Like, I'm fucking buzzing, right? Like, I mean, this kid was about, not kid, but young man, 22, 24.
Wicked.
I'm a grown man. I almost wanted him to send me the photo so I could send the people and go, I'm fucking getting nothing. But it's a silly thing like that.
No,
but that
nice
made my fucking day. I'm buzzing, right? Exactly. But now if that happened to me 1,000 times a day,
you think, oh,
fuck,
you'd be
right?
Like, fuck this podcast.
But it's perception, isn't it? Because that for me,
100%.
I still dine out on that now. I still tell my friends, shut up, mate. I've got to recognise in Brighton. I'm known in Brighton.
And it's nice, isn't it? And again, it comes back to that level, innit, of like, you want that recognition. You want to, you work hard. You know, you grow up to build something you're passionate about, whether it's a podcast, whether it's anything in life. Recognition isn't something that we should like look down upon. Like, getting recognition is a good thing. It's nice to be recognised and to get the appreciation for the work that you do. But then there's a fine line when it becomes right. Now you lose the buzz from it, and it becomes a burden rather than a compliment. So. Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely.
But I don't know if you've probably experienced this where you bump into famous people too. I bumped into a Chelsea player, and he was like he's quite little and whatever. I won't say it was because I don't. What I'm about to say next might sound like I'm knocking him. I don't mean that. But he was like quite timid and quite little. And I won't say whether he still plays Chelsea or whatever. But I bumped into him, like nearly actually bumped into him.
Right.
And I could see he kind of went like. Because I went, like, as in my face must have gone like, I know you, sort of thing.
For sure.
And I get it, I've got fucking cauliflower in a fucked up nose. He probably thought, oh, fuck, leave me alone.
Yeah.
But he kind of looked, and I went, oh, sorry, man, and just sort of scooted past him. And he kind of went, well, anyway, it was in a Sainsbury's. And I walked past about 2 weeks later, same Sainsbury's. And he saw me. And I was going to do the same sort of, and swear. He went, hey.
Oh, really?
Gave me the handshake and whatever.
Way.
And I just put it down to, like, he just appreciated the first time.
There you go.
I just shimmied past him, like he's a normal bloke.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I think people appreciate that because we are all just, human beings at the end of the day, and treating people like human beings is what people want, especially when they get to that level where that's been lost a little bit, that human connection of like, oh my God, you're just using them for the picture, the selfie, the likes on Instagram. They almost feel like demoralised and dehumanised a little bit. So that interaction, a couple of people that I've bumped into before, and I've like, it's like I used to live in the same block around there as Akala. Do you remember the rapper Akala?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I remember being in a lift, and I'm like, you're Akala. And I actually brought up about something not music related that he was in a video years ago, and we talked about that, and I think he really appreciated that, human interaction. And I didn't ask for a picture. I recognised who he was. We had a chat, but it wasn't like, oh, can I take a picture and then put it on Instagram and tag you in it? Mate,
I'm not into that picture. I'm a grown man. I ain't asking for a picture. I saw Chris Eubank Senior outside of where I was teaching Jiu Jitsu a few years ago in Brixton. He drove past in his like big Phantom, like suave, and he's exactly what you see. And some other bloke went, Chris. And in fairness to him, he pulled over and got out of the car with his cane and swanned over and whatever. But I thought, and then I had a chat with him, and he was good, and he was like, well, I must be going, and he went on. But he gave us the time of day, funny fella. Anyway, I said after, and he went, why didn't you ask for a photo? And I was like, bro, I'm a grown man. I ain't asking another man for a fucking picture.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean?
It's true. It's
I'm not going to go quick and have a picture. Fuck off.
And it happens, and like I think sometimes when you're younger, I mean, when I was a coach at Gym Box, I used to be a PT there.
Where? Which one?
Covent Garden.
I used to be in Farringdon.
Nice gym, Farringdon.
The old one.
Old Farringdon.
That was even
better.
Now,
I actually was a PT. They changed it to Mob 45.
Mob 45, that's right.
I was a PT there for about a year and a half as well.
Was you? I saw that gym. That's the one I was in.
Yeah, wicked. So I was at Mob 45 for about a year and a half. Prior to that, I was at Gym Box Covent Garden.
Oh, nice.
Paid a lot of gym rent. And shout out though, Gym Box.
Shout out to the Gym Box rent.
The Gym Box, the rent is not cheap, but I did have a good career
Mate,
there.
I worked there in 2012. It still hurts.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot. But if you get a busy client base there, anyway, I was a PT there between Mob 45 and Gym Box for three and a half years. So a long time and had good business there. But one day I came in and I was about to teach a boxing class, right? And I was reasonably new to combat. I had a couple of white collar boxing matches, and I was about to teach a class called Counterpunch, and it was like technique, but also boxing fitness. Do you remember Counterpunch?
Yeah.
So shout out Phil as well here with the old the combat classes. Anyway, I was teaching this class, and I looked down in the combat area, and stretching next to me is Michael Bisping. Now there's people and there's people, right? And like Bisping is Bisping, right? And I went, and it just came out. I went, Michael Bisping, and he looked up and he went, "You all right, mate?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Paddy. I'm one of the coaches here. I'm a big fan of yours." And in that situation, I was like, "Can I get a picture, right?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Cool."
When you train, it's different.
You know, and it's like someone that was like, and in that moment, I mean, again, I was like, well, I was 24 or something.
Oh, you're allowed. Fuck me,
I was a kid, you know, and it was like, but then I remember, and then I was getting people in the ring, shadow boxing, warming up. Bisping was on the treadmill, and I thought, I'm teaching people boxing from Bisping, right?
Yeah.
You know, I felt so like, wow, like again, like, but yeah, I think that me in my 30s now probably would have taken the experience for what it was and probably wouldn't have asked for the picture.
But listen, it's different. I think if you were training with someone, that's different because your boys were on the mat, come Paddy, let's have a fun. That's different.
Exactly.
I'm talking about, I've said this on here before,
yeah.
The funniest one I've ever seen was in Heathrow Airport. I dropped someone off at the airport.
Nearly slipped it up.
Anyway, jokes aside. I dropped her at the airport, so I'm sitting there waiting for check-in, whatever. I'm sitting there. Ronan Keating comes.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's quite a little bloke. He's like very well prim and proper. Looks like you'd expect someone from Boys Own to look. But it's in the middle of the day. No one's about. It's quiet. He had a similar experience to the fucking Joe's player. He kind of met eyes with me just for whatever reason. And I just kind of like, I don't think I even reacted. And he looked away. And I could see on his face there was a little bit of like, As I've done that, there's not half a second ain't passed before some flamboyant geezer from behind checking. He works there, has gone, Ronan! And I made a big scene. I love you. And you can see Ronan Keating going, shut up, Anyway, it fucked him. There's a crowd of people now, and Ronan's day's over. Bless him. Poor Ronan stuck at Heathrow. And I just looked at it, and I'm sitting there thinking like,
you've screwed it up.
What are you doing?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
For what as well? Like, I think a lot of situations in life now, I start to sort of like, ask what the why sometimes, you know, why did I do that? Why did I lose that match? Why was I late for that? Why did I lose that? I don't know. But I always think like, what's the why of like, what have you done that for yourself, for your ego, to tell your friends, to like, what's the real why of that? You know,
I think people just lose themselves. Like you said earlier, like people are stuck in 9 to 5s and they do their job and they get told what to do all the fucking time.
Exactly.
They're miserable as shit, and then all of a sudden they see Ronan Keating and they go,
true. That's probably the why. That is.
It's like a release.
It is.
It just loses all that. Even with the singer, I nearly said his name. I nearly fucked up there. The singer I used to train in the studio, there was a woman in there who was about 40 at the time, not young by any means. I was mid-20s, and she come over to me after I trained him once. Bless her, lovely girl. But she come over and she's going,
flustered.
I loved him. Before he came out as, you know, blah, blah, blah. I used to love him. Doing all this, right? And I was like, all right, do you want to meet him? He's a normal geezer. He'll say hello to you. He'll have a coffee with you probably downstairs. What do you want to do? And she chilled. And when he met her next time, I said, listen, she's fine, but she's just actually really fucking nuts. And he don't worry about it. And he's gone and spoke to her and gave her a kiss on both cheeks. Made her day, right?
Sure.
But it's stuck because this bird, I'm trying to keep it vague, right? But she was very normal. She'd come in, she'd have banter with me and like all sorts. And then suddenly she just lost it. And I was like, oh wow. But anyway,
amazing.
That's neither here nor there. Let's get back to combat, shall we? Oh, before we do, conspiracies. When I said conspiracies earlier, your ears perked up on me. Are you a conspiracy guy? That means yes.
No. Do you know
all the sides.
Do you know what it is? I'm actually more towards the no side of it. Like I'm more on the no than the yes side. So
before, sorry to cut you off. Before we do, I'll tell you where I am.
Go on.
I don't believe a lot of conspiracies. I believe some. Right. But I love it when someone's passionate about it. And I love to hear it. And if you tell me something that's so fucking wild that it sounds nuts, I'll ask more questions.
You'll be like, tell me more about
Tell me more.
So my granddad on my mum's side is a physicist. So he's a very scientific, logical background, and I was always good at science growing up in school. You know, I got into acting, but also was very at the same time was doing a lot of like go off to fucking chemistry camps when I was like 13. Like I was really into science.
Oh, you was that kid.
And but also like would love sport. I'd dip my toes in a bit of everything. I wanted to be good at it. I was the kid that wanted to be good at everything, I think. But because it was a science background, I got good grades in it. I was always a very logical thinker. So I'd always be a little bit on that side of things. But then there's been certain things that, like, you know, certain people, celebrities dying, that I'd question and be like, oh, that's a bit suspicious. Or the one that has always stood out to me is life elsewhere out of this planet. And I strongly believe that we are, in my whole honest self, that we cannot be the only life form in the planet, is what I believe, in the whole universe and solar system. I think it's so vast and so massive that I almost think it's a conspiracy theory to think that we're the only life form that exists.
See, now you said planet, you fucked my flat earth question.
Yeah. But the other theory that I am open to is that there are other life forms within our planet as well. Like, one of the things...
As in down?
As in down,
oh,
as in
wow.
under the sea, you know?
Oh,
like,
you see when you said you're...
yeah.
Get fucked,
no,
you're a full-blown loop-de-loop. Let's hear it.
I'll bring the tin hat out now, pull the tin hat out from under the sofa.
Well, but episode's 2, relationships. Episode 3 is conspiracies.
We're going to have loads of comebacks. You'll see me on a regular.
Well, a regular series.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think that it's a vast universe that we're in, and also like there's so much of the seas and oceans that we haven't explored, like, that we can't get to. And, you know, it does leave the question of, like, okay, what if there are other life forms down there that were here before us, you know? That maybe...
I think on that, there definitely are.
Yeah.
What they are, that's where the conversation starts. But I don't think there's any debate on like if there's no if.
Be. There has to be, you know, because I think it's ignorant for us to think that we're the only life form on this planet, you know.
Yeah.
Or not in the universe, and potentially on this planet, and whether they're in society already that look like us, whether they're under in the sea, whether they're watching us from afar, you know, there's definitely that. And one of my friends, shout out Craggle, he's my best mate. He's definitely not watched this as far right now. I will.
Well, fuck him then. Don't even mention him. What do you mean you don't watch this?
If you've watched this far, I'll give you a tenner. I'll put it that way. And we always.
I thought you meant he don't subscribe to Squeeze the Neck.
No.
Say, bung him off. No friend of mine.
He just won't watch me listen this long because he has to deal with me enough in day-to-day life. So,
shout out, what's his name? Craggle.
Yeah, he's a music producer, very good music producer as well. So, but going with Craig, we talk about this stuff a lot, and he's saying there's so much stuff that is getting leaked now that he's a very firm believer that within the next 6 months we're going to have a mainstream news pop up of, like, we've made contact with something like this.
6 months.
He says we're on the precipice of it. It's right there, you know, because there's stuff getting leaked more regularly on things like Reddit, and they're popping up that, like, we're on the brisk of governments having to announce that we know stuff that is about to get leaked, and stuff to do with, like, technology that has been hidden. Like, they've found ways of, like, levitating and things like that. Not human levitating, but being able to suspend ourselves in a fixed position in the air, you know, and stuff like that. They found technology and are experimenting with privately that hasn't been leaked yet. If me and you go missing after this podcast, we know why.
I ain't said nothing. Don't worry about me. Yeah. I just squeeze people.
Just take me.
You know what I mean?
Ollie can go.
I don't even like the geezer.
Lock me
up. No, but shout out Craggle. We've got to hit him up now.
Exactly.
Well, we've got to hit him up with Craggle because Craggle's coming.
Exactly. So,
but that ties in nicely to a lot of conspiracies. You said about the levitation side of things.
Yes.
The pyramids is one that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's one, when I say that to people, now, I tell you what, there was a guy actually, he wasn't on the podcast. He can't come on the podcast because he's too mad.
Right.
But he spoke about, do you remember the Titanic sub that went down and exploded with people in it? He had some mad conspiracies on that, and I'll try not to butcher it, but he basically was saying there's intelligent life down there. It wasn't an accident. They took them, they crushed them, they got rid of it. So
Right.
Whatever, it was a mad one, and he's mad. He knows who he is. You're mad. Yeah. He's, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's all kind of the levitation one with the pyramids is one that comes back and forth. Because I heard, I think it was on Rogan the other day, and it wasn't the other day podcast. It was like an MMA one from maybe 3 years ago with someone, and he was talking about how, like, a lot of people now couldn't make it today.
Yeah. It's insane. Like that, and also
how does that work?
The thing that blows me with the pyramids, I'm sure you know this, but it's the dimensions of it. Like,
and they're perfectly aligned.
They're perfectly aligned with the planet and the you know, hemisphere. I don't know what it is. I can't remember the specificity of it, but the way that it's designed, and, like, it begs the question of, like, there's got to be something.
And I think it's much older than they say it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Sphinx is the one. Because of the water erosion.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, there has to be something there. And again, you can choose to believe that there's not, and continue living day-to-day life. But, like,
all them 9 to 5s, bro.
Why live your life like that? You know. So yeah, no, I think there's got to be something more there, man. And it's like, it's an interesting thing, and by being open-minded enough to consider it, at least, then you can maybe in the next 6 months, if Craggle's right or whenever, then we go, told you so.
So you're telling me in the next 6 months I've got to get young Craggle on the podcast before
we all get disintegrated by aliens or nuclear bombs or whatever.
Well, if any aliens are listening, they want to pick up, squeeze the neck and make us a conspiracy podcast, shout at the
aliens.
Shout out to the aliens, under the sea or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But like bringing it back briefly towards like fighting somewhat. A lot of fighters are in conspiracy theories. The one that's going around recently is Bryce Mitchell. Have you heard him talk? Now, he said something lately that was so out there. Was like Dana White was like, he's just stupid. Basically fucking he's stupid.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of stick, Bryce, and and I think there's a line, personally. But again, who am I to say? Everyone's entitled to their beliefs and their opinions. I can't remember what Bryce's recent one is, but I know that some of his stuff I've seen, I've been like, really?
Exactly.
But yeah, and it also, I think if you're going to look at something from a conspiracy perspective, it's best to look at it from a neutral view and not let your own opinion get in the way. So some people will look at, one, for example, is like pharmaceuticals, right? Like you can look at big pharma and the industries and like what they're doing, and I do believe that there's a lot of positives, but also a lot of negatives to that industry. My mum's had MS since I've been 1 year old, so she's had a lot of help from the NHS and trialed loads of different drugs and stuff that's helped, stuff that hasn't helped, maybe stuff that's made her worse now potentially along the way. Who knows? We don't know that, but I'm grateful for the development of pharmaceuticals.
And it also
science.
Doesn't mean they're evil if they get it wrong, which
yeah,
is where
exactly,
a lot of conspiracy theorists go, see, they're
trying to kill us,
And it's like, maybe they just don't know.
Maybe they don't know, and if you're looking at that from the perspective of that you hate them and that you hate what they do and that they're doing it negatively, you're always going to look at it from the wrong perspective. Right. So I think when we look at conspiracies, we have to step back from our opinions and our views and look at it from more of a neutral perspective. Okay, what are the facts here? What have we found?
Well, here's the thing, right? If I said to you, have a picture in your mind of someone who believes no conspiracy theories, what's that person look like?
Oh, they'd be in a suit and tie and they'd be, that's it.
Right, now I said to you some lunatic who thinks every conspiracy going, what's he look like?
He'd be topless with shorts in a field.
Got a beard, smells like the earth.
Hay. Yeah, exactly,
There's a reason for that, isn't there? You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
because it's a certain dynamic, and I think a lot of people want to believe in things, don't they? I spoke to a guy on the mat once. I don't know who he was. It's not like I'm trying to hide his identity. But he was on a mat somewhere I can't even remember where the gym was. Doesn't matter. It wasn't my home gym. I was at an open mat. And he looked like a normal bloke, he, blah, blah. I was probably in my mid-20s, he was probably 40, sitting there talking and blah, blah, blah. But this and that, and this conspiracy and blah, blah. No big deal. And then all of a sudden he's gone like, well, no, but there is this such and such. And like had mad eyes.
Wow, there you
And
go.
like the other people didn't scatter, but like the people that knew him sort of like slowly getting their water bottle, time to get in the shower.
Set him off.
And I'm sat there listening to, because I've never seen him before.
Yeah.
And he went from being like, I don't know what he did for a living, but someone looked at like a lawyer who's married with kids, to a complete fucking lunatic with eyeballs this big and wants to read your palm and was touching me at one point. You go like, they're out there, these people, man.
It's true, and it's good to be open a little bit,
But not too open.
Yeah. And I've talked to people about this before. It's like, you can't let it take over your life, I think. I think it's good to have the awareness and maybe, does this happen, that happen? But there's also a fine line of letting that become an obsession and take over.
Because how far does it go? Me and you sitting at Paddy, my dad's a penguin.
Yeah.
He's not a human, he's a penguin.
Right, you go,
That's why every now and then I move my head this way. Because my dad's a fucking penguin.
And you go,
and you got to believe me,
and I'm like,
because how dare you not?
I'm like, okay, I'll leave it.
It is what it is, isn't it? And I think, especially Jiu Jitsu, I was going to say like martial arts, not always, because strikers are complete opposite. Strikers are a bit more like, shut up, mate.
Straight.
But if you sit there and listen to the wrong grappler, and by the way, we're both dirty grapplers, the state of our ears. But like, do you know what I mean? It's like, you can go deep with these guys.
It's true, definitely. And it's, like I was saying, it's important, the fine line, I think, of like, being aware of it, but not letting it become an obsession, because if you let it obsess and become part of your life and get into the way of your day-to-day energy and the view of the world, and it makes you frustrated at the world that we live in, I'm so annoyed at the government, I'm so annoyed at this and that, and I hate the way the world works, then it ruins your life and your perspective and your energy. So you can't let it consume you. You can be aware of it and have an understanding of it, but then have a way of putting it to bed or one side and not letting it take over your life, you know.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, like with this, as I say, I feel like we could have a 5-part series. And hopefully we'll revisit this again at some point. But like briefly touching on fighting before we wrap it up, like did you see UFCs that have been going on at the moment by any chance? Because the reason I bring it up, we won't get to it because there's a bit of a time delay from filming to when they come out, so it won't be so up to date. But as we're recording this, we're quite recent to when Alex Pereira's just lost. I've been talking a lot with him about him recently on different things because of the heavyweight situation. John Jones, are you an MMA fan, by the way? I'm jumping to it. You are perfect. Good. So the Pereira, Tom Aspinall, John Jones. Now my initial thought when he lost was like, oh man, he's fucking out. But now, letting it age a little bit, I go, this is good.
For sure.
This makes the thing at the top very clear cut.
It does.
And we're going to see John Jones, Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, we should do indeed, you know. And Tom Aspinall, I've got big faith in him. I think he will go the whole way, you know. He's got the whole package, the grappling, the striking, you know. The size, everything, you know. And he's from the UK as well. And, like, you know, he will go the whole way. And this is what I love about fighting as well. And particularly that I like when fighters lose, actually, is that anyone can lose, you know. Anyone can get it. Anyone can lose. And that's the great. And that's what I love about Jiu Jitsu is, you know, you very rarely find, unless you're Roger Gracie, like people, you're an undefeated fighter, you know. Everyone loses and everyone... and it's particularly in the heavyweights, you know, because the power there, you know, it only takes one thing to change a whole fight. And I think that's the beauty of it. Anyone can lose, and it creates such an even playing field. I love it with the heavyweight boxers right now. You know, with Seth Dusik, everyone's lost now. You know, AJ's lost, Fury's lost, you know, Wilder lost, and it's like, that's amazing because it shows that we're all human and we all can lose, and it makes it fucking interesting.
It does, but having said, and I agree with you, but having said that, one of them motherfuckers, John Jones, is undefeated.
True.
He's got a loss on his record, but if you know, you know.
Then that could be where our boy comes in, you know.
That's what I'm going to ask you. Yeah, because I've spoke to people that are black belts under Tom Aspinall's dad. And one of the guys, he was on the podcast, so I'm not speaking out of turn, he was like, I ain't even a fight. Tom Aspinall's going to kill him.
There you go. I think he will. I think you do.
Oh, you do? That's what,
I do. I mean, it's not an easy feat. It's the final boss, right? It's John Jones. So
because every time I see John Jones fight, and I've mentioned this a million times, but every time you see him fight, you go, now I remember.
Exactly.
How dare you? True. How dare you bet against him?
It's very true. But then there's a thing with, like, everybody has their time as well. I do think that, you know, and I think that, you know, Tom Aspinall's more in his prime now. He's really coming up. He's got that forward momentum. John Jones is, yes, he's still undefeated, but I feel like his ship, even though he's still John Jones, his ship's a bit more sailed than Tom's is, you know. And it will be very, very interesting, and it will be the MMA fight of ever, probably, of all time, you know.
Well, here's my thinking on it too. Whereas I think this will be John Jones' last fight now. Now Pereira's lost. So with that in mind, it's hard to bet against him, isn't it?
It is.
I could see this fight, and I've said again a million times, I could see this fight going so far one way or the other. Like I could see Tom running him over, or I could see it being one of them fights where you go, of course John Jones was going to do that to him. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, for sure.
It's a hard one to bet, isn't it? It's such a hard one to bet.
100%, but it's definitely going to be...
You've got to see it and win.
Mate, I will be there watching it. It's one of them ones you can't miss live either.
You got to get, if you can get there, you got to get there.
For sure, for sure. If you get tickets, let me know.
I'll be there, I ain't telling no one.
In his DMs, Ollie, left me on red. Ollie, where's the tickets?
No, I'm busy. I'm busy for the next 3 weeks, But no, we definitely will. And again, as I said, we've definitely got to get this podcast on again.
100%,
because there's lots of stuff that we can dive deeper into
all day,
and this has been really fun, mate. So I really appreciate it, mate.
Ollie.
Before we finish up, I don't know if you've seen any of these. I always ask you the most important question of the day. This decides whether we stay friends. The part of London we're in might go wrong.
Oh, right.
Which football team you support, mate?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
What? No. Why?
All of my family hate me for it because they grew up 3 streets away from Upton Park. My dad was on City Road in Plaistow, and I should be a West Ham fan. I should be, but I grew up watching Thierry Henry, and some of my mum's side were Arsenal fans, my auntie on that side, and I just ended up becoming an Arsenal fan, and that's the way it was. I was watching Henry. It was the Arsenal era. I was about 10, and I become an Arsenal fan, and then that was that. But yeah, I should be West Ham. You?
Well, I was going to say, it's not like too late to switch allegiance and start supporting Chelsea, right?
I know. And where I am now, I mean, just for the sake of recording, we are 0.2 miles from Brentford Football Stadium.
I walked from my car parking to walk in here. I went past the sign that had an arrow that said Brentford FC.
Yeah, that's
and I
it.
spat on that motherfucker. No.
Yeah. So I should. But again, I have Arsenal is my team, but if a West Ham are on, I want to see them do well. If Brentford are on, I want to see them do well. If Reading are on, I want to see them do well.
You're not doing well here, mate.
I'm not. And Arsenal fans will hate me for saying that, and all the other clubs will hate me for saying that. So I can't win. So
the Squeeze the Neck fans will definitely hate me for saying that, but never mind.
Started the podcast well, ended terribly, but there we go.
But mate, I appreciate it. It's been a really fun one.
I
always finish with a fist up like this, mate.
Yes.
Squeeze the neck.
Squeeze the neck. Us.